Hey everybody, welcome back. We've got the majority of 1113's diesel engine put together. So, well, we'll just cut right to the chase. The radiator core is still up at the radiator shop, so I can't do anything else on the front side here. So I think I'm going to move into the starting system next. I'm going to have to do a complete rebuild on the starting engine and the pinion drive assembly. The pinion drive is going to be the first piece of that puzzle. We're going to dive into that right now. Goes in this area right here, extends back to this actuation lever. And I've done a bunch of videos on these already, so we're going to go a lot lighter on the details here. We're just going to get this thing apart, see if I can salvage anything. Pretty much locked up tight, nothing moves. It also had a lot of water intrusion, rust corrosion. It has had to endure some rough treatment in the past. So we'll just get it apart, see if there's anything in here that is still salvageable. All right, cut right to the chase. During the disassembly of 1113's original engine, I had to heat this pinion sleeve to get it off of the gear. A link should be popping up here in the corner right about now. You can go back and relive that if you so choose. But yeah, latches are stuck on this. I can't make those move at all. So that's going to require some freeing up. It had the old wire lock head bolts that were holding the sleeve to the gear. That's one upgrade that I usually always do. I will go to the newer fold-over lock style. I like that retention system a lot better. Not a lot of wear on this. There's going to be some spring tension here on this piece. We'll get it off real quick. There we go. Not a lot of wear on this latch nut. It's looking pretty good. The kick-out plunger is also stuck in there. That should be just free-floating. So that's going to require some freeing up. The kick-out springs, inner and outer, don't look horrible. And pinion gear is a decent fit on the shaft. Threaded holes look pretty good. It doesn't look like the sleeve's ever been wearing loose, so probably some minor rehab on that, just cleaning it. Now, like I pointed out earlier, this whole housing has been broken. The whole nose has been busted right off it, and it's been welded again. That happens when people try and remove this pinion drive from the bell housing without removing the starting engine first, as I showed in another video. Link will be popping up about right there. If the starting engine is still in place, the idler gear sticks down in here far enough to basically capture this piece into the bell housing, and if you you can move it about 1/4 of an inch away, but then it comes up and stops hard against that gear, and if you start wedging pry bars and chisels in there and exerting force on it, it'll bust the nose right off of this housing. That's what's happened to this. So I can tell you, probably this housing is going to be junk in my eyes, but we'll go ahead and see if we can get it apart anyway. Another thing I see on the bracket for the engagement lever and brake lever on the side here, I see this has been broken, and I believe that was because water got in there and heaved this. It broke the flange right off the bottom of this piece, so this piece is shot. Take this pinch bolt out. What I'm going to do right now is take this lever off. Usually I leave it on here, but I'm just in salvage mode right now. So we'll go ahead, pop that off of there. There's that. I'll take the final 2 bolts out of here, and we'll take this whole side piece off with the clutch and brake fork. Here we are, and as I suspected, lots of rust in there. Boy, that fork doesn't look bad for wear. I think a guy could clean that up. Yeah, broke the bottom out of that housing pretty good. Oh, it does move. I can get it to move a little bit in there, so that's not a complete loss anyway. That makes me happy. Another look inside. It's no surprise that this thing doesn't move. Honestly, that thing slides back and forth. The collar, that surprises me a lot. Wow. Otherwise, the shaft doesn't really want to turn. Removing the last of the 4 bolts for this front cover. It also has the oil level plug in it. We'll have a look under here. Lots of rusty stuff in there. And a very rusty bearing, rusty nut with cotter pin behind it. Back to the other end now. We got all these lock tabs folded back for the nut, and for some reason they even folded the two that weren't between teeth down. I'm not really sure what they were doing there, and somebody has beat the heck out of that nut with a punch or a chisel or something. So gosh, I don't know if it's much worth trying to salvage that either. I like to use these little adjustable spanner wrenches like this on those. You can usually get a pretty good grab and twist away, but something that's already this beat up. I have this chisel here that I've done a custom grind on the end. You can usually get on a decent flat, get a pretty good hook, and then see if you can loosen it that way. I might just try it on this. Being that the shaft is seized anyway, maybe that's going to help me out some. Yeah, I think we got it turning. There's the nut. Fold over lock comes off next. Get my wood block out here. Now, see if I can knock the shaft out of the housing. There we are. You can really see what we're dealing with now. Okay. Have a look at this. Yeah, you can see crack going through the weld. So that's still bad right there. Not a lot of chance I'm going to attempt a repair on that. Oh, yep, and I also see here, let's clean this off a little bit. I think from that freezing and heaving, we've got a crack line that goes through here, another one that goes up there. So I'm writing this housing off. This one's junk. It's just not worth trying to repair all of that. But over at the vise now, we'll see if we can salvage anything off the main shaft. So I just used the soft jaws on that 6-spline end down there. Seems to hold it pretty well. First thing we'll do is peel the cotter pin out of the castle nut up on this end. And hopefully this nut isn't too tight. Nope, this one's going to loosen off just fine. Alright, sometimes you need a puller to get this end bearing plate off. Other times you can just do that. That's quite astounding considering how rusty all this stuff is. Let's see, look at that. So far, we are living right. I can push that bearing. Well, I thought I was going to be able to push that bearing out. There we go. Get that right out of there. That's not going to be any good anymore. Just looking at things here, I expected to see some brake discs on this hub. That's where they're supposed to be. And there's nothing in here. So somebody has definitely been in this at one time, and they didn't put any of the brake discs back in for the Pinion. Like I said, they're supposed to sit on this hub. There's 3 of these kind of keys machined on there. They have these feet. That's what they would sit down on. And then some of the other discs actually spline to these 3 cutouts in this plate here. And they get sandwiched between the collar and this. And like I said, I've been through all this before on other videos. But yeah, we've already got some parts that are just MIA in this thing. So let's see here. I got a movement out of that hub. Yep, there it is. And it looks like this hub is shot anyway. You can see the little foot on that one. Well, it's broken off of this one and it's broken off of that one. So something has definitely gone awry in here at one point. But we can take the collar off. From what I can see of it through the rust, it actually doesn't look that bad condition-wise. As long as it's handy, I'm going to peel this woodruff key out. Now, we'll look at these fingers, and they move. We'll look at the detent for the spider adjustment. It moves. I can't believe that plunger is as free as it is. It seems like this spider wants to turn on the threads, so I'll just take it off. I can't believe these pieces are still as free as they are with the way the rest of this looks. Look at that. It's just threading right off of there. Threads are even clean underneath. I just don't know. I'm not complaining. I just don't know how that's possible. Need a little bit of good news from time to time, I guess. So, pressure plate. That's what that plunger drops into, all of those holes around there for the over-center snap adjustment on the clutch. Let's see if this whole drum will come off. We have some steel discs and bronze discs in here. Okay. Just kind of taking a look at all these. Honestly, they're not looking horrible in here. So, we'll clean those up, have a good look. First stubborn piece of the lot. Well, we've got that. Looks about like the rest of the discs did. Now, I can't remember if these keyways have to come out of here first, or, yep, I think they do. So, peel these keys out. These are what's supplying half of those discs to the shaft. The other half engage in these three cutouts in the drum. There we go. The shell with gear comes off. Having a look at the bushing on the inside. Not looking horrible. Teeth don't even look that bad. Really, we'll have to get the rust off and see how bad the pitting is. So the final two pieces on the shaft are this ball bearing and this spacer. That bearing's pretty well locked up. So I'm not going to worry too much about that while I press this off. There we go. Spacer and the bearing. Okay, so out of all of this stuff, we've got some broken parts, we've got some missing parts, and we've got a lot of rusty and really dirty parts. But honestly, looking through all that, I'm kind of impressed with the condition of what is here. It might sound crazy right now. I have a lot of off-camera work to do to start cleaning these things, inspecting things, deciding what I'm going to use, and sourcing some better parts in the process. So I'm going to get busy here, guys. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back, everybody. A lot has happened since you last saw me. It may have only been about a 4-second transition for you, and possibly a commercial, maybe not. But for me, it's been about 3 days. I have a lot of stuff laid out on the bench here, and I'll tell you what, this old rusty pinion drive did not cut me any slack at all. So we're not going to get a lot much further in this video from where we are right now, but I got a lot of stuff to go through. I want to give you guys kind of a situation update, let you know what I found in this thing. So I might as well start with what is in this old container here. This is the pinion sleeve. Now, I mentioned how this was really rusty and stuck, and sure enough, let's see if I can make a big mess here. Sure enough, I was only able to get the cotter pins pulled out of it, and nothing else would move at all. So I've been soaking it in this Evapor Rust overnight, just try and free everything up a little bit. I don't want to have to really beat on this thing to get it torn apart, because what's here seems like it's pretty good condition wear-wise, but I'm going to give this at least another day to soak in here. That's probably the #1 reason why I decided to kind of stop right here. I want to give this thing a little bit more time. Now, the drive housing. I said earlier I was writing this off. That is still the plan. So, I had this one out of another unit, and I don't even remember what this was out of. It's one I had laying around. Very good condition. I cleaned everything up, and I don't see any cracks, breaks, welds. Everything looks good, and it has the correct style access plug for adjusting that clutch spider. It should have the raised square end instead of the recessed square end like that one. Flip these over. I can show you. We have 2A3502, 2A3502, right, correct, and proper housing. This one's the one that's going to get used. And to clean the bench a little bit more, we also had this broken side piece that the clutch and brake lever pivots on. That was the end that was broken off of it there. I was able to remove all of the pieces from inside of that. Everything in there looked really good. We have this pin and this plug, these two little cup plugs, and this is another one I had laying around right here. No cracks, breaks, welds, everything looks really good. I just stripped the worn contents out of this one because all I needed was the housing, or the casting I should say. And to make sure, we have a 2A3600 casting number on that. 2A3600, again, right, correct, and proper piece. This is the one that is going to get used. Moving on to some of the smaller components, 1113's clutch collar ended up being very pitted. It is still in serviceable condition for what it has to do, but I had this one which is almost perfect, so this is one I'm going to use instead. We move on to the Spider. Much the same situation. Still serviceable, very pitted, and considering I had this one that was almost pristine, I decided I'm going to use it. All the fingers look good, all the pressure points. I took the pins out and replaced the cotter pins, or split pins as some of you would call them. That's the one I'm going with there. 1113's old bearing nut that had been very beat on by a hammer and a chisel. That is going to be replaced with this much better one that I had on hand. And the collar that goes behind that nut, that oil seal rides on it. This one is very rusted and pitted. That's no good for a seal lip. I had one that was in much better shape. That's the one we're going with there. And the brake disc hub that was missing some of the feet on the bottom. That one is a lost cause, but I had several very good ones around. You can see all the feet are still on each one of those splines. And on the topic of brake discs, 1113's drive was missing them all together. I was able to source some from another drive I had around here, all in very good condition. So we are set for brake discs. Now, as far as the clutch discs go, the bronze and the steels, another interesting development there. I'll just start with the clutch hub cleaned up well, no worries in that department. But we get into the clutch packs, and I'll just say 1113's spider plate was the best one that I had, so that's getting used over. And of the pressure plates, 1113's was a little bit pitted, but I had this one here that is almost like brand new, so this is the one we're going with. That one's getting discarded. Now, into the clutch packs. You will notice of the 1113 originals on this side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the bronze, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the steels. That's not correct. As per parts manual illustration, we should have 6 of the outer discs, which are the bronze, and 6 of the inner discs, which are the steels. And these were very worn anyway. Lots of scoring on these, and you can see some steel has even been imparted into the bronze material of the bronze discs, and I've never had one of these clutch packs look this bad. These are a wet clutch. They are running in oil, and to score like that, it almost looks like it had to have been running dry. Almost all the bronze discs are that bad. You can see a lot of steel shining in this one as well. The steel discs are all pretty scored. I'd have to be pretty hard up to want to use these discs right here, but luck would have it, because I keep everything, I had an excellent set of bronze and steel discs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of each. So these are the discs that are going into 1113's rebuilt clutch. And I don't know what the deal is with them having had removed the brake discs and then being down one friction or one bronze and one steel disc in the drive clutch. Somebody had been in there and had really been changing stuff around. I don't know what the purpose was. I don't know what they were trying to do. That may have also led to that scoring. If the clutch stack wasn't tall enough for the spider to really clamp down on, and that led to more slippage too. Either way, it's just that's just some of the things you find when you get into these old machines. So the bench is clearing. A lot less clutter here than there was before. The final pieces that I had to replace, at least as of now, are the bearings. The 1113 originals are locked up. They're never going to be usable again. But I had this very lightly used set of new old stock bearings that I had picked up and used for a little while in 2115. These are the full complement ones also, the heavy duty style. So this one is a Fafner 304W, very common size bearing, easily found. This one is a Fafner 208W, again, common size, easily found. We will go with these bearings right here. These are destined for the scrap pile. Now I know what's left on the bench here looks kind of sad, but these are pretty much the only pieces from 1113's pinion drive that I really couldn't find a problem with. We have the front plate and the brake disc plate that goes just behind that. A couple of woodruff keys, the nut that goes on the shaft. The shaft cleaned up very well. Kick-out springs are good. The kick-out plunger and latch nut are good. Once I freed that plunger up and cleaned all that, I was happy with that. And shocker, the pinion gear. This thing is perfect. Now, how they had a perfect pinion gear on this with no brake discs to slow this down without grinding it into the ring gear, I just don't know. This baffles me here. I mean, the threaded holes aren't flogged out. The splines are good. There is no wear on the teeth. I'll take my victories where I can get them. So, to put it in a nutshell, these are the lucky winners that will be built into 1113's next pinion drive, contingent upon me being able to salvage and save that pinion sleeve that is soaking in that evapor rust. We will see. Kind of a long-winded video, I know, especially at the end where I showed you everything I found, but I found a whole lot of things in there that I wasn't expecting to see. When things were dirty, they looked a lot better than after I got them clean. We'll just say that. Definitely found some surprises in there. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'm going to try and rehab that sleeve. I'll change it out if I have to. I'd rather not have to, but we'll see what happens with that. And then we will proceed with putting together the pinion drive for 1113. Thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please tune in again.